take care of her.
Okay, thank you so much. All right,
And
sorry.
Geeta has problems with her computer, so she will join in between.
Okay. All right, so sorry about all this disturbance. But one more time, everybody check their mute and unmute because it's still some noises coming. So I was just saying that we are talking about Yagna spirit, and the context is that we karma yoga. So we have decided, okay, or learned from Krishna Bhagwan that we all have to do the work in karma yoga mode. This is another dimension, a very, very important dimension of karma yoga, because one of the things that we have to learn is that what is the full spectrum of karma yoga, so that we know it correctly to do it, because otherwise we have all kind of wrong ideas about what karma yoga is. So we have gone in detail one aspect, and now this is like how it relates to the rest of the world and us, the whole universe and us, kind of. So that's the context. And so verse 10 was, we talked about the basics of like how this world was created. And when the world was created by Prajapati, the creator, which is another form of God only, or the Shakti is coming from God. So he, in that mythological story, that hey, this cow Kamadhenu is a full wish fulfilling cow. So if everybody works in the Yagna spirit, you get the result. So it's a cooperative endeavor, team spirit, not thinking about selfish motives, but goodness of everybody, and then everybody benefits. So that was the central idea in the last one. And now he's going to open it up more. What does it mean further? That's where we are now at verse 11. So verse 11 is Devan bhavayata tanena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreya parama vapsyatha. Devan is the gods, bhavayata is nourish, anena with this, te those, deva gods, bhavayantu may nourish, vaha you. What do we do now? There is a Meeraji, are you able to see whose is not unmuted? Oh man.
Vandana is not muted. Vandana is not muted.
Okay.
Vandana, can you please mute?
Yes.
Now she's muted.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Because it makes a huge difference. I think I started hearing my own echo or something. Some problem started happening. Okay. So I lost my chain of thought. So we were on verse, I was just going through this verse, right? Yeah. Devan is gods, Bhavayata is nourish, Anen is with this, Te is those, Deva is gods, Bhavayantu is may nourish, Va is you, Parasparam, one another, Bhavayantaha, nourishing, Shreyaha, good, Param, the highest, Avapyastha, it's a very difficult word to say, shall attain. So here, one second. The basic idea in this verse is going to be that there is a word deva. So there is if you just take the literal meaning of the word deva, it's a devatas. जितने भी वो नए कितने 33 करोड़ देवता और समथिंग जैसे हर एक का नाम दिया हुआ है, लेकिन उसका कॉन्सेप्ट हमें समझना होगा कि देवता यहाँ पर क्या है. So in Vedanta, Dev means the one that illumines. Okay. So illumines, that means it has to do something with, getting the power. It has something to do with cosmic intelligence, all those things are kind of applicable here. So when we say that our indriyas, we have the 5 indriyas, we have the capacity to see, hear, touch, smell, taste, and all that. Now we may think, oh, I have these indriyas, so these things are coming to me. But the truth is, for every indriya to function properly, you need a blessing of one of the elements. Without that, it's not possible. The simplest example is seeing. Okay, without light, we cannot see. Moment it gets pitch dark, my eyes may be working perfectly. The equipment, everything, I have a 20/20 vision. Everything is great. But if the light is not there, I cannot see a thing. Does everybody agree? So that means the devata for my seeing is the light. Is the light element that is doing. The same way, I cannot taste anything until there's water. In a complete dry mouth, I won't be able to taste anything. So water is the devata for tasting, and so on. And touch is the air, smell is the earth, and things like that. So I have to understand that without those devata, I cannot use even my indriyas. So you see the significance of that devata now? And that devata, the aggregate form is like that devata basically. So in our Puranas also they have, Varun devata and Vayu devata and all that. We have heard all the stories, all these things. So now you know where the concept is coming from, and you need, in the poetic language you can say, you need the blessing of that devata to be able to see, smell, and so alag-alag devata ho gaye, right? So ये division जो है ना, वो सब different devatas को समझ लो. लेकिन as a student of Bhagavad Gita, we should not forget that Brahman is one, God is one, and that power is coming. I think that we still have some issues with unmuting, because I can hear a couple of things going. Each person can take, like in our classes, we say in Chinmaya Mission, be your own policeman, So just be your own policeman. Everybody check their thing for mute. So that's where the devata. So if we understand that concept, then everything will start becoming clear. But if you just think of a devata as though somebody outside there that I have to please, the concept will not go properly in your mind. So that's why this devata is a very important concept to understand. And if you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to ask, because unless we understand this, it will be difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita. So,
Umajit, I do have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was the power behind it, behind the eyes, the power behind the ears, etc. And that power is the same, but it is because it's attached to one particular sense organ, therefore it was a different devta. But there is something more that I'm missing. You're saying behind the eyes there's the light. I understand that. Is the light also behind the light? Is there the power?
Yes.
Is that what we're
Yes.
trying to say?
Very good question.
Okay, so that I was just a little confused.
Okay, so it is going to clarify in this one, because in the commentary and all that he will, and then I will also going to clarify further. So the way it works is there is one Brahman. Okay, and then when the division starts happening, then next one is Ishwar. Ishwar is Brahman plus Maya. So Brahman is divided into two, Brahman and his Shakti. Then it becomes Ishwar, and वहाँ से शुरू होता है further division of the Panch Mahabhut and all that. All those Upanishads have these. It's like जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना कि how in a womb a baby is created. Sperm and egg meet, and then cells start dividing, and a human being is created. Same way, the power it coming from Brahman itself everything, but then it further divide. So if you go backwards, Meenaji, it will be Brahman only. And Krishna Bhagwan very, very clearly is going to tell us in different chapters that how कि जितने भी तुम पावर देख रहे हो दुनिया में वो सारे के सारे ब्रह्मन से ही आए हैं. Okay, like the heat in our body also is the same. Food में जो nourishment है वो भी ब्रह्मन ही है.
Amen.
And all those things. Okay.
No, that's true. I understand that part.
Huh.
But it is what was confusing me is the light or the water in the for the taste, etc. Behind the light, are we saying behind the light is the power or the light is the power?
At this stage, we are saying light is the power. Okay. So that's all we are saying.
May I interrupt? Kamla, you need to mute yourself.
I need to ask something. That's why I unmuted.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me finish with Meenaji and then Kamlaji. So the reason we are just this is what it is. It's just a different way of dividing it, Meenaji. Either you can take it all the way to Brahman, and if you are satisfied with that, that's also okay. But the reason I'm bringing this up because in Puranic stories they use many times the word devatas. So it's just telling you that how the power is coming. And the best example that Swami Chinmayananda gave is, we have one government in the whole, say, United States. We have a democracy in the United States, okay? And then, so power is among everybody together. But then we select our representative, and then they are given the power. And in the end, it comes through them. Okay, if you need something, it comes through them. So just think of it as that this particular thing is coming through them. That's all.
Okay.
If that satisfies you. This, this is just another way of categorizing it. That's all it is. Okay. But
Actually, Vandana got muted almost immediately. So the noise is coming from Vandana's device.
Oh, Vandana, you have to mute yourself. Just learn how to do it. There is a small button at the bottom of your device which says mute and unmute, because for this class to run smoothly, we have to learn this. Okay. I did it for her, but maybe we have to just practice. So, Meenaji, is there anything else we need to discuss on this?
No, I'm good.
You good?
I just
Okay.
had,
Yeah.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, Kamlaji.
So my question is that behind each thing there is another devta. So is it better to worship that devta or it just worship the Brahman?
So this is what it says in Bhagavad Gita. You can worship whoever you want. That's why they call it personal God. Okay? But if you have to learn that the power is all coming from Brahman only. Because sometimes a human mind, it's not possible to concentrate on something that unknown to us. So this is another way, and slowly through that personal God we learn where that is coming and we reach Brahman. That's all it is. So निराकार को भजना या निराकार की पूजा करना, पूजा भी नहीं बोलना चाहिए, क्या बोलना चाहिए, निराकार का चिंतन करना is a lot more difficult. That's what Krishna Bhagwan also says. Very, very, very few people can do that. So that's why this personal God comes in the picture, but it takes you to the same path. But knowing very well that it is coming from Brahman. If you don't know that, then all the problem comes. Then you get stuck at that Devata only. And Devata is not going to give you moksha. He has a very limited power. So I was giving the example of the government that, it's like I cannot reach the president directly, so I go indirectly, but he has a maximum power. It's not the best example, but I'm just, to get the gist of it. Okay, that's where it's coming from. So once you get a little clarity of the word Devata, then we will understand it better. So there is a whole Upanishad concept in here when you know, and that Swamiji in his commentary you will see like Yagnavalkya करके एक you know ऋषि हुए हैं, उनको पूछा गया कि भाई कितने कितने देवताज हैं, तो उन्होंने जवाब दिया तीन हैं, 303 है, 3003 है, 33 है, 6 है, 2 है, 1.5 है. Imagine. Division can be any, okay? But main thing is the power is coming from Brahman. How you divide depends on the function and categories, okay? Like America, one United States, and then it got divided into 52 states. Then each state has counties. Then each county has a city. You see that? If you see this example, you will understand what the division of the devta is. So वो एक, you can say that एक county का देवता वो उसका representative हो गया वो, because he's going to manage that, okay? But then if you trace the power, उसको वो power मिला कहाँ से? Government से मिला उसको. और government कौन है? Democracy. Everybody is involved in it. So if you compare that democracy with this, then you will start getting it, what it means, this individual devta. Okay, but our goal is over here to go to Brahman, but we you know, either you can take direct route or you can take a roundabout route. It will take you same place if you know it correctly what it is. That's the main thing over here. Okay, is that Kamlaji okay with it? Okay, so now, you know, there are different terms used in Vedanta. So the same cosmic intelligence, if you want to use a modern language, just think of it this way. There is a cosmic intelligence out there that expresses through different powers in the universe. You know, power of gravity is one. And then other powers and also. This is a complete modern language. And in the Vedantic language, they will call it Hiranyagarbha. Suna hoga ye word aap logon ne. So Hiranyagarbha, okay, Gita is saying Hiranyagarbha is, you know, when it is at the seed state, the entire universe manifesting power is at the seed state. It's called Hiranyagarbha. Okay, Hiranyagarbha means like Hiranya means gold. So they have this vision of this cosmic golden egg, you know. That is like Hiranyagarbha. And then, you know, the same power is like becomes heaven and earth, sun and moon, and the pranas, you know, in us, we call it Pancha Prana. वो भी एक cosmic intelligence का ही रूप है. You know, the cosmic intelligence has further divided, become the pranas, and that's how in Hindi language we use the word फला आदमी के प्राण निकल गए. हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, प्राण निकल गए, means all the 5 pranas together have exited the body in their subtle form. So the prana का power भी वो cosmic intelligence से ही आता है, Brahman से ही आता है, देवता, through the devatas only it comes, you know. So that's what we need to remember. So the other thing is that this devta is Swamiji is going to explain that in another very, very modern and very, very nice language. When we come to it, then we will see what Swamiji has to say. But I wanted to bring few other things that each Swami brings their own stuff. So I'm kind of bringing the best part of from everybody to explain this concept. So basically, what is the relationship now between that cosmic intelligence and us? First of all, we are getting all the powers from there. And then when we perform our action in the karma yoga and yagna spirit, that's when they bless us. So that's the language they use. They bless us means they nourish us. So they give us something, and then in return, we have to give something. Remember, when we were talking about yagna spirit, we were talking about doing some sacrifice. Okay? So that sacrifice is giving back. It can be in the form of some hard work we have to do. It can be in the form of after we get the result, we share the result and not hoard everything for ourselves. And because everything is coming from the Devata, we don't want to just keep taking, then it creates imbalance in the universe. Okay, so parasparam bhavayante, meaning we have to each other nourish each other. Okay, and I was thinking about this taking care of environment is an excellent example that we know that we are getting everything from the environment to survive, water, air, to breathe and everything. And now if I become selfish, I will start polluting. So yeah, I don't care if little bit of pollution, what difference it makes. Everybody start thinking then a bigger pollution happen, and then it comes and slaps us back because we are not nourishing them. We are destroying it. So see how the balance is, that how the universe was created was that they nourish us, we need to nourish them back. Then the best thing comes out. यहाँ पर लिखा हुआ है कि श्रेया. Shreya means something that is good for everybody. I think I've discussed this word before. Something not just good for me, but the good for the entire universe. एक दूसरे को help करते हुए best comes out. So that's the whole bhav of this particular verse. So now we can start reading. And one example I wanted to give, one more that will make it even more clear. Our body. If we look at body as one unit, that means whatever I do to take care of the body, it better be good for the entire body. Then only the body will be healthy. And the best example is food. If I have a tongue, but if I just do it for the taste of the tongue, eventually I'll have problem. But if I think of, hey, what is good for my body? Because body is giving you something. Body is a vehicle. Through body, I'm performing all the action. Through body, I'm trying to get self-realization. Through body is an important vehicle. And if I just please one part of the body and forget about the rest of the health of the body, big trouble. So just imagine the whole universe works like that only. So if I don't think of whole and universe, the word universe is very interesting word in English language. Universe. One verse, one thing. It doesn't say multiverse. It is one unit. But we are not trained to think, especially in the Western philosophy, it's like universe is somewhere different. I am here. No, you are the universe. You are part of it. That's oneness is there. So whenever I do any action, I have to think back of my mind, hey, is it good? Is it Shreyas for everybody? And then you will immediately know the answer whether to do it or not. Okay? So from that perspective, now we can read. Okay, who's my volunteer today to read this verse? अनिल जी. अनिल जी ने पहले उठाया.
With this, you do nourish the gods, and may those devas nourish you. Thus, nourishing one another, you shall attain the highest good. Ordinary commentators, having made the hasty mistake of interpreting the term yagna in the previous stanza in its usual dictionary meaning as a Vedic ritual, are compelled to accept in this stanza a meaning that devas mean deities. In the Vedic period, we all know that almost all the element forces were conceived as devas.
So see here he is just telling you that अगर आपने उसको एकदम literal meaning में यज्ञ ले लिया तो भाई यज्ञ का कोई देवता है, उसको आहुति दो, ये करो वो करो, फिर सब कुछ अच्छा होगा. भाव अच्छा है, मगर the meaning, real meaning is all the elemental forces. मैंने बोला ना कि वो 5 elemental forces behind our indriyas, Meena ji. So this is where he's explaining that these elemental forces were conceived as devas, and we know in the Puranic stories, Vayu Devta, Varun Devta, Agni Devta and all that, उनको देवा कहा गया because they illumine us, our indriyas, number 1, and number 2, it's a cosmic intelligence coming through them.
The whole Vedic concept of devas is that of the one universal power, ever active in the world of phenomena, receiving appropriate names according to its multiple functions. All Vedic gods are but functional names of the one supreme creative power manifesting in myriad forms.
Okay, here. So here, Minaji, your answer to your question. There is one, supreme creative power, but when they function, they are given the name. And the same is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Okay? Brahma is creating power, creative power. Vishnu is maintenance power. And Shiva is annihilation. Because to creation, you have to annihilate first. मेरे को कोई घर बनाना है तो पहले मुझे अगर पुराना घर वहाँ पर है तोड़ना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद मैं बनाऊंगी. And even everything else is a cyclic thing. Okay? So that's what it is, that depending on the function, the name is given. अभी अग्नि देवता बोला बिकॉज अग्नि एक एलिमेंट है, उसका एक पर्टिकुलर काम है करना, उसको अग्नि देवता बोल दिया. लेकिन अग्नि का पावर कहाँ से आ रहा है? एक्सक्यूज मी, पावर कहाँ से आ रहा है? ब्राह्मण से ही आ रहा है. In fact, one of the Upanishad had that's how it starts with the story, that ये elemental forces को बहुत अभिमान हो गया. तो फिर the Brahman had to take a form of a yaksha और उसका अभिमान तोड़ना पड़ा उनको. So that whole, one of the Upanishad, that story is there, and then the Agni realized and then the Vayu realized, oh my God. The story goes कि एक तिनका यक्ष ने लिया, बोला इसको उड़ा के दिखा दे. And the Vayu could not do anything. The Agni could not burn it because they realized that the power was not theirs. It was coming from the Brahman. So that's what it's telling you over here, that it's just a functional name. Be very, very clear about it.
Umaji, isn't it also true that it's also called yajna? Seeing is also a yajna, isn't it true? Because taking in is something like you pouring. Yajna is like pouring something out. That means So eyes are also, and the light that comes in, what we see, it's also a yajna.
Yeah,
every act can be counted as a yajna. So this is a yajna as well.
True.
Isn't it true?
Yes. So yajna is just the way the universe functions. That's how Swamiji explained it. Yajna is representation. जो हम लोग फायर रिचुअल करते हैं ना, जो यज्ञ करते हैं जिसमें आहुति वगैरह डालते हैं, that's a representation of how the universe works at microcosm as well as macrocosm, both. So you are right. Each activity of us can be taken as yajna. That's why I was telling you last class or before that how when we eat, वो भी एक यज्ञ ही है, because मैं खाने की आहुति डाल रही हूँ जठराग्नि में. Okay? Jatra is in my stomach. That's coming from God. The food is coming from God. So basically, the way Swamiji explained is so beautiful, because sometimes we get confused. What does it mean? So it's like the ocean. The waves are jumping on each other and all that. Everything is ocean only. So same way, all the activities that I'm doing is happening in Brahman only. But if I do it with awareness, then that's when the harmony stays. Okay? And so whether I do this action or that action, every action, the power is coming from Brahman. So at an individual level, Meenaji, yes, you can take that. Seeing is an action. Seeing is a what you call yajna. Hearing is a yajna. Eating is a yajna. You can take that. No problem at all. And that whole cosmos is working in the yajna also. Because for the universe to function, you need a sacrifice. You need a higher altar. Function smoothly. And this pandemic and all these problems that are happening, it is because there's discord, disharmony. We all know, even the scientists know that when the relationship between animals and humans get disturbed, then all these viruses start crossing over. So you can take it scientifically, you can take it Puranic way, you can take it Vedic way. All of them point to the same thing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In understanding the stanza in its more universal application, we have to interpret the term Deva as the very presiding deity in any field of activity who blesses the worker in that field with his profit. The deity that blesses the worker in a field of activity can be nothing other than the productive potential in that given field. When we apply our true and sincere work in any situation, the efforts and sacrifices so made, as it were, invoke the productive potential in that situation, which comes to manifest and bless the worker. This becomes obvious when we try to understand that we are in the modern world mean when we say Mother India. In thus symbolizing the might of a nation, we mean the productive potential of that country in all her spheres of activities.
So here Swamiji has explained it in as modern terminology as possible, the word Deva or Devata. He calls it the productive potential of anything, particular thing. And if you really analyze it, everywhere it is working, this productive potential. घर से लेके और society से लेके, country से लेके, universe तक पहुंचा हुआ है वो same productive potential. And one of the best way I can explain is that we call it San Francisco as a tech world, right? So why did it become like this? Because lot of smart people got together over there and tapped into that potential. And all their hard work brought out fantastic things like Apple and Facebook and whatever you want to call it. So if you go behind their stories, उन्होंने बहुत मेहनत की. And they brought out that potential. And then they had gathered all the other smart people together. Then they worked so hard. And then the result came out. You know, that's called the productive potential. And even, you know, simple thing like this particular class. Okay, we all got together. Cooperatively, we are trying to study. You know, we are making sacrifices in a very small way. You can say, yeah, you're sacrificing your time to come here. You purchased the book, you try to create the harmony, and now our studies are going well and everybody's benefiting. You know, same way in a household, anywhere else, there's a productive potential. This is given as a gift from God, you can say it. And if we do it correctly, in the team spirit, in yagna spirit, and karma yoga spirit, the whole universe benefits. That's the whole idea behind it. But you have to have sincere work, effort, and sacrifice. Those three things, the moment you start compromising on those three things, productive potential mein gadbad ho jata hai. You know? So all the companies that fail and things like that, because somewhere along that problem has happened. You know? Universe provides you plenty of things, but all the disharmony happens because of somebody is not following these principles. Does that make sense? So anybody has any question about it, you know, can bring it out. But I thought this is a very good one.
Basically, what you are saying is that whatever you are doing, you must remind yourself again and again that you have to do it in yagna spirit.
Yes. और जितना ज़्यादा आप यज्ञ स्पिरिट में करेंगे उतना सभी को फायदा होगा, आपको भी फायदा होगा. It's a collective effort.
It is obvious that the productivity that is dormant in any situation can be invoked only by men's sincere efforts. This potential, which generally lies dormant everywhere in the Deva, to be cherished by the worker through the yagna activities, and certainly the Deva will manifest itself to cherish or to bless the worker. Thus, cherishing one another, man shall gain the highest good in the divine intention in the mind of the Creator, says Krishna in this stanza.
So Swamiji has explained it in the most modern way possible, that, you know, that there is a productivity that lies dormant and is invoked by man's sincere effort. Okay, and through the yagna activities, it is invoked, and then you are nourishing each other, and this is what the intention of the divine creation is. That's the main part over here. This is the intention of the divine creator. So that's why we have to respect it, because the entire universe works in that same spirit.
the law of seva is faithfully followed by every sentient and insentient member of the cosmos instinctively. Man alone is given the freedom to act as he likes, and to the extent he disobeys this universal law of sacrifice, yagna, to that extent he comes to suffer, because he, with his arrogant and egoistic actions, brings discord in the harmony of the existence around him.
So here, he again summarized the whole thing about it, that the law of seva is faithfully followed by every sentient and insentient member of the cosmic instinctively. Because we talked about it, the the universe के जो 5 elements हैं वो सेवा भाव में ही सब करते हैं. Sun is shining in सेवा भाव, and all the nature is doing everything in सेवा भाव. It doesn't discriminate, इसको दूं या उसको दूं, सभी को देते हैं वो. बरसात सभी के ऊपर गिरती है. But man alone is the one उसको फ्रीडम है कि मैं ये करूं या ना करूं. बाकी तो सब अपने अपने वो काम से बंधे हुए हैं. The sun is, उसका nature ही है जलना, so sun is burning, giving us light. But humans को दे दिया थोड़ा freedom, उससे बस ये choose करूं या वो choose करूं, उसमें गलत choose करता है. He disobeys the universal law of sacrifice, means he doesn't work in yagna spirit. Then he comes to suffer. And then what happens that he's in his arrogant and egotistic action bring discord and disharmony, or harmony टूट जाती है. So it's a very simple math and logic over here, very, very simple. But we all break this. So this is the kind of chintan we have to do. That hey, what am I doing? Am I doing something which is going to harm anyone? I mean, sometimes when I go to the beach over here, I see people have thrown plastic wrapper. It's not as bad as India, obviously, but there are people who throw things on, and it's like, how can they do that after still knowing all this, that it hurts the animals and all that, and people still do it. Unfortunately, they do it. It's just sad, but that's what brings it to us, that it will come and slap us only. But if they did a little bit of chintan, that hey, if I'm throwing something in the ocean, eventually uska effect mere ko milega. And if we start thinking that way, we won't do it. Okay, so this verse is over here. Anybody has any question or comment on this? Because this was a little bit heavy type of concept, Okay, I am assuming everybody is okay with it then. So we go to the next one. Let's see. Yeah, we can do one more before we go to the Upanishad. So now I'm on verse 12, which is Krishna Bhagavan is going to use a pretty strong language here. One concept. Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva dasyante yagna bhavitaha te dartanya pradayebhyaha yo bhunte stena eva saha. Ishtan is desired, bhogan is objects, he is indeed, vaha is to you, deva the gods, dasyante will give. Actually das word सुना है ना, हम थोड़ा नेगेटिव वे में लेते हैं das word, but यहाँ पर ऑलमोस्ट कहा गया है कि अगर तुम उनकी सेवा करोगे वो तुम्हारी सेवा करेंगे. एक्चुअली वर्ड सेवा इज हम लोग ने नेगेटिव ले लिया दास को, बट रियल संस्कृत मीनिंग इज सेवा करना. सो दास्य, दैट्स इट. यज्ञ भाविताः, nourished by sacrifice, te is by them, dattan given, apradaya without offering, ebhya to them, yaha who, bhunte enjoys, stena is thief. This is the word I was telling you. Krishna Bhagavan has used a very strong word, and I will tell you कि क्यों thief कहा. Eva, sa, he. Sorry, eva is verily, sa is he. Okay. So अभी ये क्या concept यहाँ बता रहे हैं कि देखो कि हमने यज्ञ किया मीन्स यज्ञ स्पिरिट में काम किया, जो भी सब कुछ हम करते हैं वो यज्ञ स्पिरिट में. देवता खुश हो गए, मीन्स प्रोडक्टिव पोटेंशियल हैज गिवन अस बैक. एंड देन सो डिजायर्ड ऑब्जेक्ट मिल गया हमको, and we got peace and happiness. That is the internal thing that happened. External thing में क्या हुआ, हमको material चीजें मिली. Okay, अब वो material चीजें, if you want harmony in the universe, it has to be equally divided among everybody, because everybody has put the effort. Okay, but I want to do, किसी कोई यज्ञ कर रहा है तो मैं कुछ contribute ना करूं वहां पर, और मैं चली जाऊं और मैं सारे benefit ले लूं और कुछ भी नहीं दूं. तो कृष्ण बाबा बोलते हैं ऐसा आदमी चोर है. तो हम लोग कहते हैं चोर वो है जो हमारे घर में आके कुछ चुराता है. नो 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 नो, अगर तुमने ये कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं किया कुछ, यू आर अ चोर. इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग वर्ड यूज कर दिया कृष्ण भगवान ने. सो बेसिकली व्हाट ही सेइंग इज दैट कुछ लेने के टाइम पे कुछ दो जरूर. यू नो, दैट्स हाउ द हार्मनी रिमेन्ड. अगर एक तरफा ले कोई लेता है, so it is not gonna, and then even in the, say in the country, if there are more people who become lazy, see किसी को कोई क्या बोलते हैं, physical problem हो, कुछ हो, वो बात अलग है. We are not talking about exceptions here, okay? And the truth is कि सभी कुछ ना कुछ ढंग से contribute कर सकते हैं, unless somebody has extremely physically, mentally challenged, then obviously we are not talking about them. To the extent you can do, whatever you can do, and don't be a conjuice in that. That's what he's telling you. Besides that, it's just a principle that you want to always give and take in the right proportion. In fact, from our own perspective, you should be more prepared to give more, because the elements हैं, they work in a complete sacrifice way. बट उसमें उन्हीं को आनंद मिलता है, बट चलो, वी डोंट इवन, हम वहां तक तो नहीं पहुंच सकते. कम से कम वी डोंट डू दिस कि भाई ले लिया लेकिन दिया कुछ नहीं. देन दैट्स व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू टेल अस. एंड इन द सोसाइटी वी नो वेरी वेरी वेल दैट हम लोग को ऐसे लोगों से बहुत गुस्सा आता है. पीपल हु विल जस्ट who don't contribute, they just keep taking. We also don't like it. So here that concept he's bringing it out, which is very simple, logical thing, but coming from Krishna Bhagwan, we give it more importance, and then we look at our own actions. How can I improve in this manner? So that's the concept over here. And before I go, a very simple thing is there is a potluck, and everybody bringing, and one person consistently doesn't bring something, then everybody starts feeling, and that, and that's the concept he's talking about over here. Okay, I think Kamlaji wanted to read, right? No, Kamlaji, we can't hear you. Unmute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank
sorry.
you. Mm-hmm.
The Devas, nourished by the sacrifice, will give you the desired objects. Indeed, he who enjoys objects given by the Devas without offering in return to them is verily a thief. Here, Krishna repeats the unalterable ritualistic law that the Devas, cherished by Yajna, will provide us with the desired objects. The truth of this statement becomes self-evident and clear when we reread this statement, substituting our meaning for the terms Deva and Yajna. The productive potential Deva, when cherished through self-dedicated work performed in a spirit of sacrifice, Yajna, will provide the worker with the desired objects. This is the law of life.
Okay, so here he's just telling you that how the Yagna and Deva, how we should be thinking now about that. So the Deva is a productive potential, and Yagna is a self-dedicated work performed in the spirit of sacrifice. Okay, so self-dedicated means you have an altar, in a spirit of sacrifice. I have to sacrifice something, and this is a law of life. This is how you get the desired object. So तुमको मिल गया उसका फल. Okay.
And when we thus earn a profit due to our sacrifices, we have every right to enjoy that profit, sharing it among ourselves. But no living creature should enjoy benefits of others' actions without contributing his own share to the total effort. In the capitalistic system of life, we notice the wrong tendency of self-aggrandizement of profits produced out of the collective efforts of millions of workers. This ultimately creates sad maladjustments in all spheres of activity, and national and international peace is threatened when we thus upset the law of harmony in life. The statement that a member of a society who consumes without producing is a liability to the nation is a familiar idea in modern finance. The same point is represented in the language of the Vedas in the second line of this stanza.
So he's just telling you that we know this concept very well, but it is here Krishna Bhagavan is just explaining it, or in his own way, the whole concept. And we know that people who, the society who consume without producing is a liability to the nation. अगर वो कर सकता है तो, so that's what it is.
He who enjoys objects given by the Devas, the productive potential tapped, without offering his own yajna efforts into it,